Hi guys, welcome along to episode 2 of the Chunky Tea and Friends show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to keep this intro nice and short and sweet because it's quite a long one. It's with Johnny Noden, a good friend of mine. I've been in bands with him, I've done artwork with him. I've just generally been friends with him for as long as I can bloody remember now. Probably too long, some may say. But yeah, we touch on East Coast Punks Collective, the general shit show that is the UK government at the minute, and also a music project that we're working on called Odd Foxes. There'll be a link in the description, so go check it out, tell us what you think. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so how's Tricks?
Yeah, Tricks are good. Busy as always, you know the score. Yeah, grafting, trying to keep myself creative.
Yeah.
In these weird times we're having. But yeah.
Yeah, man.
Good.
Lockdown been all right?
Lockdown's been productive.
Yeah?
Yeah. Been productive. Like our house looks completely different to what it did at the beginning of lockdown. Loads of furniture's got moved around and shit.
Yeah.
Mrs. just getting really busy. I've been keeping myself busy with loads of drawing and uni work and that, as you know.
Yeah. What uni work are you doing?
I've just finished my first year of doing my IT course with the Open Uni, and I feel like I can breathe for a couple of months. It's nice. Yeah.
When will you be qualified on that then?
Because it's part-time, it's a 6-year course. I'm 2 years in, so it's my first year.
Yeah.
So we're looking 2025 around-ish.
Well, sweet. That'd be
I
all
can't
right,
do
mate.
The maths right now, my brain's fried from it.
Yeah. I've seen some of the fucking crazy shit you've been doing, like all the coding and that as well. Like,
it's fucking nonsense.
Yeah.
It's just a load of nonsense. But it makes sense for the time that you learn it, and then you learn it, and then you go on to learn the next thing, and that you forget all that and you've just done, and you've got to relearn it again in 6 months when you've got a test on it. It's amazing,
mate. That was me all over in school, though. To be fair,
yeah.
Like I was just like, oh yeah, I know it. It's cool. You get to the exam, and you just like have no idea what these words mean. Fuck you.
Yeah. I don't need to know this forever. I just need to know it from now.
Yeah, that's it. Like your driving test, when they say you learn to pass your test and then you learn to drive.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's even what my driving instructor told me.
Yeah. That's it. I'm just going to get you through your test, and then after you've got 2 or 3 crashes under your belt, you'll know how to drive then.
Yeah, you're on your own from there, kid.
Yes, there was one thing, though, that I want to talk to you about that came out of lockdown, and that's the East Coast Punks Collective.
Okay, yeah.
Tell me about it. Punks. Tell me about it.
What's to tell? It was just a Facebook group that started. It's not massive. Anyone's free to join. There is a few rules, but I won't go into them right now. You're welcome to read them on your own.
Yeah.
But the East Coast Punks Collective, all it was is everyone was just separated, and it was just a way of getting people that was either separated through lockdown or people that weren't ever connected in the first place, that were quite local to the East Lincolnshire, Greater Lincolnshire area.
Yeah.
Just like-minded punk folk that interested in the scene, interested in seeing people's creative projects throughout lockdown. Because that was one thing about lockdown that blew my mind. Like, people got really creative, and it was so beautiful to see. Everyone had something to show positive.
Yeah.
That they've been doing, whether it was gardening. I saw one guy who had just been planting a load of vegetables in his garden. It was just really, wholesome, nice. People doing music projects that would have never maybe had the time to be able to link up and have the time to be able to put that effort into music.
Yeah.
On the other side, it did separate a few other artists, me and you sort of included in that.
Yeah.
Which was quite hectic time amongst everything else that was going on, but I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about that later.
Yeah, man.
But back to East Coast Punks, it served a purpose. A lot of people are still posting on there. I think Lana put a post on there tonight because my stepson Logan is looking for a bass guitar because he's starting a band with some friends from school, and I've lent him mine for now, but I think he's quite eager to get his own, which is cool.
Yeah.
But it's just a nice community of people that are likely to have a second-hand bass guitar, or just interested in seeing what's going on in other people's lives rather than just having the mundane bullshit that you see on social media every day.
I must admit, obviously I'm on that group, and just the change in the feed that it created, like on Facebook, just the like from all this fucking drab, like negative, just general bullshit to just being like, check out this, like have a look at this, like just some fun shit to do. Like there's a lot of posts that that was like what was the first gig you went to live, or like talking about old like local venues and stuff, and you just bringing you the blast from the past and all that sort of stuff, and just everyone going and having a chat about like the good old days, as it were.
Well, that's what it was as well, because obviously when we were younger, there was a much bigger sort of local music scene than there is now, I think. I could be wrong. I could just be old and
that's what I always wonder.
Jaded by the new music. But no, from my eyes, when we were 14 upwards, we had somewhere to go where you could go see bands most weekends, and it was fine. And like everyone, 14 and upwards had a band or knew someone that was in a band, or
and we put gigs on as well. Like that's the thing, how easy it was to just go. Like we used to. Like you were part of it and as well, but like just renting a village hall and stuff like that, and being like, this Saturday at bloody Fishtoft Pavilion, we've got like 6 bands playing. It's £2 entry to cover the cost of the hall.
It was just complete DIY culture, just a bunch of kids getting together. And over the years, everyone gets older, everyone gets responsibilities, jobs, kids, mortgage, whatever, and everyone becomes disconnected. And I think that a lot of people going into lockdown probably were missing the social aspect, and even though you can't go hang out at the bar at that time, or go to a gig or whatever, I think a lot of people were feeling the same sort of thing that I was, and my wife was, and a lot of people that I was speaking to at the time were saying the same sort of thing. So it was something that was simple. It was never anything overly ambitious, but it served a purpose, and I hope it continues to do that over the years.
I think it will. It does. It did baffle me with the fact that there's a lot of technical, a lot of technology, that is out there for people to use, that like people like me and yourself probably just didn't even bother with. And I just sort of think, well, why aren't we using this? And I think there's very much like an era of using that now.
Are you talking about like things like TikTok and?
Not necessarily TikTok, but like just like the collaborating. Like we played a lot of like online video poker, didn't we? Like house party, and just going. You know what? Like none of us can really be bothered to travel to each other's houses, because a lot of like our friend group, particularly, are quite sparse across Lincolnshire. So trying to organise a night or, travel and all that, when you can just sit in your own house, you can have a fag, you can have a beer, and you can just have a laugh with your mates still. I know it's not quite the same, but very much like, why aren't we doing this, man?
Well, let's say it brought that sort of side of people as well. Like it showed like our ability to strive to, be able to want to see friends and family and things like that. I mean, we did the quiz nights. And like, they were hectic, man. People falling in and out of rooms every 5 minutes, but it was constant entertainment. You couldn't do anything else but laugh and have a good time. It was it was nice to be engaging with other people in some kind of way, rather than okay, we're in lockdown, everything's shit, we've got to stay in the house, everyone's self-isolating, and I understand the reasons for self-isolating and being on the need to be on lockdown and that, but it sucks not being able to see your friends and family, man. And
it's hard, man. It's definitely hard. Like, I found it difficult. I knew. What you got there?
Insert a stick that I pulled out of a tube.
I tell you what.
I'm just sat here like talking to you fucking the
tube. There's one thing I've realised with doing these interviews is that, because obviously everyone's generally like it's creative based, so everyone I talk to is a creator in some way, or just a good friend that I know is a good laugh to talk to.
Sorry.
And do you know what? No one can sit still. No one. So
it's true. Like being able to do something with your hands, I find it helps you think, and I think that most people have the same sort of thing. It's like it doesn't matter what, rolling a fag or like doodling or something. stuck in a tube with incense stick.
Full transparency. I'm fiddling with the other end of my headphones, just off screen.
The weird things that you do when you don't notice until you're on camera in front of a screen.
Yeah. The worst one I've had.
COVID.
Yeah. The worst one I've had so far was JBRG, is in Jay Bridges, and he is literally, his interview is like, you know, on Team America, where he's in the chair rolling around and just like. That is. He just cannot sit still. Like, he's constantly like moving around.
See, normally I'm quite relaxed now, because normally when I'm sat at a chair in particular, I've got nervous restless leg syndrome.
Yeah.
When you've legged it, but now it's quite still.
Yeah.
Now I've mentioned it, it's probably going to go off on one.
Yeah.
But that's my thing that I do. My knee just goes.
Yeah. The musicians twitch though. That is a thing. I think that's like a lot. Mostly like musician based creatives have that, because it's always like a tempo. You got to run everything to some sort of beat. I'm always like fucking beating on my chest or just tapping on the side of something. Does my missus head in? Yeah.
Again, when you're thinking about stuff as well, that's when I found it happens.
Yeah. Do you ever find yourself thinking out loud? Because I asked this question a while ago, and I didn't know if I was weird, and I like have conversations in my head, like with my own inner monologue, so to speak. Yeah. And like, I'm a bit of an overthinker, so I'll be like, oh well, if he says this, and I'll say that, and if this happens, and then that happens, and I get that in my head, then I find myself walking down the street, almost like talking out loud, and like I register that my face is moving with the thoughts of what I've got, and I'm like, if anyone can see me now, they must think I'm fucking nuts.
I don't think it's got to that point with me, but I completely know what you're saying, because I get very close to that point, and it's more to a point where like someone's just done a dickish thing, and I would just say the thing rather than thinking it, and I was like, you probably shouldn't have just said that. Yeah, it's like, you cunt.
No filter at all.
I don't want to say Tourette's, but you know.
Yeah, but Tourette's.
Kind of.
Yeah. Do you think that's a common thing with creatives, particularly like successful creatives, that they're a bit like borderline unhinged?
I think that it's you know, even if you are talking to yourself, you know, as long as you know that the other person's not there, then I think that it's a way of like relaying information to yourself. You know, you're not gonna, you know, if you're thinking what rhymes with this, or what riff can go with, you know, what can I drop this into, or what do I need to finish this track off, or this, you know, drawing off, or painting, or whatever. You need a bit of madness, and I think that madness is maybe just relaying information to yourself, as long as it makes sense to you. You know, it doesn't matter what everyone else thinks until it's finished. Then they can enjoy it. But until then, it's like, you need to get to that point, and I think that's what that is. You sit there and you relay information to yourself. You have conversations with yourself.
Just a way of processing and stuff.
Yeah, it's part of the process. It gets you to where you need to be.
Yeah. So what would you say one of your biggest inspirations is? Because obviously you do a bit of everything, don't you? You're a bit like me. You're a bit of this, bit of that. Yeah, a bit of an all rounder, sort of like, just generally, as long as it's creative and like progress, you're happy doing it, if you know what I mean.
Well, I think I've always been interested in music and art, even from, you know, being a little kid, and like drawing and painting especially. I mean, I think I was probably better at it than I am now in a lot of ways, you know.
I find that though, like you don't feel as restricted. You're not trying.
Yeah,
it's just very much because you ain't got everything else going on as a teenager. You're very much like, just write a song.
It's the complete opposite.
It's so hard to write a song now, isn't it?
It's the complete opposite of what's said. It's like the anti process. There's no process. It's just, you know, pure childish creativity, and that's you know, a gift that you lose over time, I think, and that's why we get to the point where we have to talk to ourselves.
Yeah. I think like substances help you like get over that barrier generally.
Well, me or just people
in general, I think like. I think, you know, you see some of the people on like the Joe Rogan podcast, you know, the highly successful musicians and all that sort of stuff. And they're all like, mate, try this, try this, try this. And I'm like,
dude, have you ever tried DMT?
Yeah. Well, that's Joe Rogan all over, isn't
That's
it?
the meme, innit?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I saw the one with Post Malone the other night. That was
They were high
interesting.
on shrooms, weren't they?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I like to watch that instant.
As far as creativity goes, again, always been interested in painting, always been interested in drawing. You know, even before I kind of knew that I was interested in it. Music, I'm not naturally musical at all. Really? It's something,
For someone who's been in as many bands as you have, that's a bold statement to make.
Against their will. You know? No, it was, interesting. I never had, a guitar from an early age. I wanted to have a guitar, but I don't know. I kind of always had like the 5-string, like it's supposed to be a 6-string, but the one that like always had my string missing. It had a hole in the back. It was a rough old guitar, acoustic. I had that one because no one teaches how to tune a guitar. Yeah, I know. I think it's as a child, especially, it's a lot of self-discipline that you've got to learn to be able to like tune a guitar and know what notes are and things like that. And I think from an early age, especially, I didn't have that. It weren't until, probably 14 when all my friends were like, we wanted to start a band because we was interested in, we love like bands like Linkin Park and Nirvana and Blink-182 growing up. System of a Down, Rage Against the Machine, all those classics. And everyone wanted to play guitar or drums and no one wanted to play bass. So I was like, well, I'll be that guy. I'll pick that up.
Yeah.
And so I worked all summer. I bought a bass guitar, and then I kind of just learned the easiest songs possible for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
And then again, over time you pick stuff up, you play with other people, they teach you things. You collaborate, you write songs together. And it was a very sort of natural process, but like as far as like natural talent goes,
yeah,
I weren't no Beethoven.
Yeah, do you have a badass talent though, like as in just generally being a badass? Because I remember when we was teenagers, I would just be like, how is he just so cool? He's such a fucking liability. He's like he just coasts through life and he's just cool. I try and like do these things and I just feel like a loser every time. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, he just does it with such finesse without meaning to.
I wish I could explain this. I don't know if there's a particular time you're referring to. I don't know. Clarify, sir.
Like the Whiskey Go-Go era.
When we put on a gig,
yeah,
I can't take all the credit for this, but Fandangle and Mr. Shiraz came to play.
Yeah,
and they were on Moonscar Records, and they're a really cool band, really cool ska punk band. And we were putting on this gig, and it turned into chaos. It was it
always is with you. It always is. Like, I don't want to go into too many details because I don't want you to get into trouble, all right? But some of the states I've seen you in, both like godlike and very much a sewer rat. Like there's very much a vast
primeval slug crawling out.
Yeah, I mean, there's one time when you got chucked out of one of the nightclubs because you just had a sleep on one of the sofas, but there was two women sat on the sofa that you decided to have a nap on. So you was just like, I'm off to sleep here, and they were like, get off me.
Oh, was that in Boston?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can remember that night a bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, like, what was we talking about? We've digressed.
Creativity and projects and various,
Yeah.
And not about getting drunk and.
Yeah, but like, but you, yeah. So what was the first band you was in then? Because I got to know you because I recorded one of your EPs in my little bedroom studio for a Social Directive, wasn't it?
Yeah, Sketch Your Band.
Yeah, that was a class band though, man. That was the one that, like, again, like I was the same conversation I had with Jay Bridges was because obviously we'd been in Rise to War and a couple of other bands, and we were saying like some of the fucking records that we created. One were fucking like without sounding like a dick, they were really good records.
They're bangers, man.
Yeah,
and then underrated.
Yeah, and then obviously we recorded them on a big PC, old school PC, with just a 4-track mixer.
That was it, man.
And it was just like, right, record the drums.
In a
We have
bedroom.
one. Yeah, that was it. And he was saying, it's like, I've tried to create them sort of style of sounds in my tracks when I've recorded it, and I just cannot do it. He's like, I'm like spoilt by the equipment that I've got, and I can't get like the sound of a 30 quid eBay mixer and an old school fucking Windows 98 PC, I think it was.
Time makes fools of us all, man.
Yeah, man.
That's it.
Yeah. So was that your first band then?
No, I was in a band before that, but we never gigged. We almost got to a point when we were gigging, but then everyone fell out. We were still in school at the time, but we had fun doing it. It was just like rock covers band. It was quite lame. But the first like band I proper cared about was Social Directive. That was just chaotic 3-piece. At various points 4-piece punk rock band that just grew out of 3 people that, well, the drummer could play drums before the band started, but that's kind of it.
Yeah.
The rest of us made it up as we were going along, and the rest of us, I mean, was myself and Jamie Fawkes, who's he's not living in this area no more. So his mum the other day though. She's just herself like
because it was Chimp on guitar, on bass, drums. Sorry, wasn't it?
Got there, yeah. It was Chimp on drums. Chimp, he played in bands
fast,
before that.
Man. He was fast.
He was.
If I remember rightly, he was like unreal fast.
Yeah, Chimp's an interesting guy. Anyone that knows Chimp will adhere to that statement. He's he was one of these guys that was just so laid back he could get on with anyone without even trying. He would things would get into a chaotic point when a fight would almost start, and then he would just start talking to him, and the situation would just be chill from then on.
One of them just like naturally spiritual guys.
Yeah, a bit of an old hippie punk, older than those guys at the time anyway. But he was in other bands as well, like the bands that we started, Social Directive, and the Phobias. Well, I wasn't in the Phobias, but bands that were on the scene at the time. We kind of got set on that path by bands that were around in the era before us, which were like a few of them like screamo bands like Orwell's Vision, Stabbed in Autumn, local Skegness bands, Boston IQ hardcore bands, things like that. A lot of bands, they were doing the same thing as us before that, and that's before we were doing it. And that's you learn on the streets, don't you? It's that thing. But if we don't really, I don't know, I could be getting it wrong, but as far as I can see, there's not a lot of that going around anymore, a lot of DIY gig culture.
No,
especially not since COVID. But even in the 8 years prior to that, I've not been to many as many DIY.
I think there's a bit of a revival. So I think it's definitely going to come out at the end of lockdown as well. I think it's brewing, and I've seen there's a few because obviously I'm Lincoln, you're Skeg, but like I've seen quite a few little promoted DIY gigs. And they seem to be popping up more. I don't know whether it's just because obviously where I'm working and that now I'm meeting a few more people and sort of that circle's being, and I'm hearing about it again. Or whether it did die and it's starting to make a bit of a comeback. I think the public's angry, aren't they? I think generally. I think that helps.
I think the public is angry, and I speak to a few people with very, very polarizing opinions on the current situation with COVID and lockdown. But there's definitely an outcry, and there's a need to be able to go to certain events, and if we can do that safely, amazing. But it's not people's lives are more important in my opinion, than being able to go. There's that thing with Smash Mouth last month where they was like, fuck COVID, fuck the masks, we're gonna play to a overcrowded arena full of bikers. That's cool.
I mean, we just recorded an episode of the Utopia Project that's all about lockdown,
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm quite controversial in it. So
Yeah.
anybody who is listening and watching this, go check it out. Because I think I would have upset a lot of people on that. The trouble is, like, we're trying to fit it into an hour and trying to get all the, it's a 4-hour conversation really to sit and get your point across. And you know what I mean? I had to sort of condense all of my shit into 45 minutes to an hour and try not to look like too much of a dick. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I'll follow the rules. I think you got to, haven't you? But I do think generally with the state of the government,
I think a lot of people would disagree with you. I think a lot of people would disagree that you got to follow the rules. There's there's 8-year-olds that are like, I'm not wearing a mask. Fuck you.
Yeah, I mean,
by today's standards, they're more punk rock than the youth.
I mean,
that don't give a fuck attitude. This generation is lost on. The old dudes are like, yeah, fuck them.
Yeah,
we don't care if we die.
Yeah, it's such a weird world, though, isn't it? Because you got them people who are very much like, no, fuck the system, fuck you, or whatever. And then 9 out of 10 of them, on the other hand, are going, yes, but we need a system in place to stop the immigrants coming and to stop everybody scrounging our benefits. And you're like, make your fucking mind up, man.
I know. I feel a bit conned. Me. I sanitize my hands when I come in from work. I sanitize my hands all day at work. I wear the mask at work. I wear the mask when I go into shops. I'm doing all. I try and keep social distance. I raise the kids to do social distance. I try and do all these steps. And then you've got Barry, who's 89-year-old, who doesn't look like he can walk.
Yeah.
Just like romping down Morrison's aisle, not giving a fuck.
The thing is,
no mask. Yeah. Zimmer frames a thing of the past. He just wants to get his beans and get out. He don't give a fuck.
The thing is, one thought process that I had with that and a conversation I had with my granddad, I think the older generation are just like, you know what? I don't care. I just do not care. Because
over it,
because it's like my granddad said, right? He had a big cancer op 2-3 years ago, something like that.
Shit.
And he's got problems now. He's getting on a bit. He's still fairly physically fit. He can get about. But he said to me, he's like, Chung, this potentially could be my last year on Earth, my last summer. I am not spending it locked indoors.
Yeah.
He goes, I might be I might be high risk. I might be, I could drop down dead in a week because of this, but my days are relatively numbered. I'm not wasting them, sat inside and not seeing the people that I love. And I was like, I can't argue with you.
I can't argue.
Do you know what I mean? When he's pushing 80, he's had 80 years on this planet and he's going, I ain't got many left. I'm not spending the last of it fucking cooped up indoors being fucking miserable.
I can completely sympathise with that viewpoint. I can. But I mean, it's kind of given. I know it's kind of just giving you the option. It's like, okay, well, you can either have one quality year, or you can have 5 very boring years, or 10 very boring years, or we don't know how long this thing's going to go on. No. It could be forever. It could be forever.
I mean, I've got everything to live for, really, and I'm very much in my granddad's camp because. Yeah. Because what's the point of me? What's the point of living forever if I'm just going to be sat in a fucking same room for the rest of my life? Just going and earning some money to fucking line Boris's pocket.
Yeah.
Like what is the point? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I think that I don't know. That's their choice. But I think younger people have probably. I don't know. I could be generalising, but from what I've seen and from what my own opinions are, I think younger people are more cautious, and it's probably their duty to be more cautious, being like, okay, we do actually have to protect the older generation because they don't. We've got to understand it from their viewpoint as well as being able to take it from our own. Like, okay, we should be the ones wearing the masks because we're the ones that are going to be carrying it without knowing. Yeah. From what we've been told,
it's quite interesting, really.
I'm only going by the official story.
Obviously, you're 30, right?
31, sir.
31. Oh, Jesus. Bloody
89,
hell.
brother.
So you're technically in the high-risk elderly category then?
Fuck off.
No, but it's quite weird, isn't it? Because you've got like the, 19, 20 and younger that are categorically fucking immune to it.
Yeah.
And then you've got the sort of 45 to 50 plus that 9 out of 10 of them are going, I don't give a fuck. I've been on this planet too fucking long. Like, especially people like around us. Like, I've lived in Boston for 55 years. I don't give a fuck if I die tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like enough's enough.
It's just like the reckless old veteran that goes running into the battlefield with 2 machine guns going. Like,
Yeah. And then you got like us lot at the 25 to 35-year-olds that are all like, I don't know. I haven't lived enough of my life not to give a fuck, but I'm not young enough to completely not give a fuck. I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, I know. I think whatever's going to happen, people, people are going to get through it regardless. With problems and crisis, because it almost generates innovation as a polarizing effect of it. It's like, okay, we have to focus on this now. We have to. People didn't just invent fire because it was pretty to look at, did they? They wanted to do it because it stayed warm and cook their food and all kinds of shit.
I think my brother would beg to differ with that one, but yeah.
Go on, what's your brother's?
He's just a pyromaniac, isn't he? He just fucking loves looking at it. Like I've caught him before, just literally staring at fire like a fucking caveman.
Fire. I mean, fire is pretty, and there is something. I don't know. I don't know if it's a man thing or that's just me being sexist, but I quite like just satisfyingly watching a fire. Like,
that's because you're a fucking anarchist, man. You always have been. just like to watch the world, but yeah. But the trouble is, and it's a question I got asked a while back. Do you think you get more conservative with age?
I've been without naming any names. I think with I've seen that in some of my family members over the years.
Yeah.
Certain family members of, I can remember when I was growing up and not really understanding politics a great deal. Just, you just pick up certain things over the years, don't you? And I would hate to think that I'll become more conservative over the years. I don't think I have since I've understood what politics was. I've always had my alignment and I've always kind of never drifted too far away from that. I've always tried to see it from other people's perspective and, try to read about history and what different, what different people have done over the years, to change things. And I think that with time, I don't know if you become more conservative, but I think, maybe you just stop giving less of a fuck. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm in it for me now.
Yeah,
I've tried helping other people, or I've tried doing this, I've tried doing that. And I don't know, maybe you just become old and brittle and like fuck that shit.
Yeah, I think it is quite interesting because I think I'm the same as you. I've seen a lot of the older generations of my family become very much more like, nah, fuck these people, fuck that people. But to give 90% of my family their due, they're very much open to listen and like be like, so what's this about? And then as a youngster, I'll go, well, this is like explaining the whole like BLM All Lives Matter argument and explaining that. And luckily, most of my family and close friends have been able to go, oh, I get it now. Yeah, do you know what I mean? But they do seem very. I think it's like because they've worked for so long, especially you're the same as me, lower middle class sort of family, would you say?
Yeah, working class, man. Yeah, definitely working class through and through. My current family situation is definitely working class. Young working middle class.
Yeah,
white boy from East England.
Yeah, but I think if you've lived that life and you've slogged your balls out to hand your check to the government every week and all that, and you've got yourself a house, you've got yourself some security for your family, you've got this, that, and the other. I think when you get to retirement age, you want to protect that for you and your family. Yeah, I've definitely had that sort of. I don't think I would. Obviously, who knows what will happen in 30 years? But I would never vote Tory at this point and anything like that. But I've seen it with having children and building a life and having a business where I'm like, I've worked hard for this.
Yeah.
And I don't want someone to just come along and go, well, no, that's his now. That's his now. That's theirs. That's that one's. Do you know what I mean? So I can see where that comes from, but I don't know. But I don't know if you can just ditch your morals.
And I was like, okay, I've got this business and I've got this, beautiful house and I've got this family. And then like the government's come along and they've been like, well, we're gonna do something you don't like. I want that freedom to be able to fuck off somewhere else. And I think that with not particularly older people in general, maybe older people in general, but with I think that particularly the British public in general at the minute taking maybe a tiny step towards the right. I think that normalising that kind of behaviour stops us from being able to do that and being able to, have the freedom to fuck off from the government. Because, if we're on this little island and contained and no one's allowed in, it becomes a prison state and no one wants that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I see it as a tiptoe, having these policies being the tiptoe towards that kind of
conditioning. Nazi generation, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't want to be a prison on this fucking island.
No.
The weather's shit.
This is going to be the second time this week that I've referenced this person, but I do wonder if Pascal Sauvage is behind all of this.
Pascal.
Yeah. Johnny English. Yeah. It's just, I just find it fucking, I keep saying it all the time, just like, is this real life? Like, is this shit actually happening? Am I actually seeing this? But
is it the Matrix?
Yeah, but what do you reckon? Do you think that it's? I mean, the media's got a lot to answer for, I think, and it seems like the government train is designed to make everybody argue amongst themselves and not look at them as the problem.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting statement you've made just there, that the media themselves have got a lot to answer for, because the media themselves is changed over the last, in my lifetime, especially. Yeah. It went from being corporate-owned news networks to anyone can make a website that looks like an official bulletin. Yeah. Yeah. An official newspaper of some sort, and they can call it news.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of propaganda, for not a better word, fake news, as Donny T likes to say. Fake news. Yeah. There's a lot of that going around, which you had your shoddy little newspapers before, but it didn't have nowhere near as much reach as what it does now. Click of a button, boom,
it's quite funny though, isn't it, that neither ends of the spectrum seem to be correct news or safe news. So it's probably the best way to put it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas news is now quite free and very much in the public domain and an open source.
It can be, but
it's actually just as deadly, isn't it?
It becomes deluded by the bullshit about.
Yeah. Because at least back in the day, in the good old days, it was if you wanted to buy a newspaper, you could buy one. You could find out some news. Or you could just go, I don't give a fuck, I'm not buying a newspaper. Whereas today, it's very much there. If you've got a social media account, if you go on Google and, an advert comes up, YouTube, anything like that, and it's like, read this, check this out, check this. Yeah. You can't do it. There's billboards after billboards that just sneak up everywhere.
Have you ever seen the film They Live?
No.
Awesome film. It's got an old wrestler in it called Rowdy Roddy Piper, who's one of my favourite wrestlers of all time. But it's such a cool film, and I suggest you go out there and watch it because it's like an 80s cult classic. Right. I bet Bucky's seen it. Ask Bucky about it.
Yeah.
I think that's very interesting because we do have access to be able to have all this information, and we are forced to have like you say, have news chucked at us, and the freedom to have the truth becomes convoluted with all this shit that, in one way or another, someone else's truth is another person's bullshit in it as well. Yeah. People can pick their own news as well. They can choose to believe whatever reality they want through what articles they read.
Yeah, especially when you've got Facebook algorithms further feeding that.
Yeah.
And they're not because of the clickbait that they can do.
Yeah.
And people have the ability to research stuff, but just choose not to. It's quite. I find that quite baffling.
It's too easy to ignore it, isn't it? It's too easy to be like, well, this is a thing now.
Yeah,
And I've been guilty of myself. Too many
Yeah.
times I've been caught out.
Yeah,
And it's like
I'm someone who generally tries to research the shit or read the article or whatever. But sometimes you don't have time, and sometimes you just go fucking what? Do you know what I mean? And you just read the headline and you're outraged, and you find yourself being a bit of a gammon.
It's such a trigger reaction, isn't it?
Yeah, and just go, oh, for fuck's sake, whatever. And then
and then you have to delete your post shamefully and be like, I hope that 3 likes.
Yeah. It's just fucking. It's just mad, isn't it? The way that the media has gone, as well as the state of the government. It's just.
I don't know. I've chose to kind of ignore anything the government's saying at the minute. You can't. If you say no to something, you start giving a fuck. If you start giving a fuck, you just keep going.
They've won.
I'm not playing that game.
They? They've won. If you give a fuck, they've won. But then how do you change anything? It's like that sort of like what is it? Is it?
I'm still going to vote. I was always under the impression of not voting when I was younger, or voting for the Green Party or something, which is obviously something that I'm still very passionate about, the Green Party. But if you
have to work strategically now, don't you?
If you want to win the game, you've either got to play the game, or you've got to be that cunt that just knocks all the Monopoly board off the coffee table and ruins it for everyone.
I thought
2 options. You can't. I
thought the ripping the Monopoly board off was your like end goal, like years back.
It turns out I'm actually really good at Monopoly. Like the actual game, like not in real life. Like my real life game's weak as fuck, but when it comes to Monopoly and throwing down those hotels, I'm the daddy, honestly.
But I'm surprised you follow the rules. Do you think being a family man has changed that? And just maturity? Sorry? Yeah, not necessarily just going to work, but just like, the government said this. Okay, do you know what I mean?
I don't. There's a lot of stuff the government said that I've been like, fuck off. I mean, when they said, they're not gonna. The beginning of lockdown, there was like, don't buy all the masks because we could leave NHS short on that. And that's a valid reason that you should not buy the mask. So I didn't buy the mask, but I always thought at the time, I'm really worried that me and my family should not have masks right now. Yeah, we should have masks right now, and we don't.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to buy the mask because I don't want the NHS to go short because they're doing a more important job than me, who's at lockdown at home on his own playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah,
you need to leave the masks to Boris to buy them for the fucking the ones that don't work.
Yeah, I mean, I had a fucking raggy old bandana. I've still got it somewhere, a little black paisley, Antifa thing.
Yeah.
But I may do with that if I felt that I needed to go somewhere that was overcrowded or, but it was really good with lockdown, to be fair. And I think that is that sort of, just that respect for the old generation. It's like, it's not going to affect me, but I'm being paid 80% stayed at home, so I'm going to do that,
Yeah.
I'm not out, really. I'm getting to spend more time with my family. I'm getting to, engage with people that I've not engaged with over time through, East Coast Punks Collective. I'm getting to, move loads of fucking furniture around the house with my wife or whatever. There's all that stuff.
That's something we all look forward to.
No, it's not what we look forward to, but I'd rather doing that than going to work for someone else,
Yeah.
And I think that most people would, they want to make their own lives better and they don't want to spend it all at work. And I think that's exactly what your granddad was saying. It's no different to what we're saying about work, really, being like, I don't want to spend it in this fucking house, I want to go out. It's like, I don't want to be at work. I want to be at home or with my family or go on an adventure up a mountain or some shit,
Yeah. Can you see the 3-day week coming or the 4-day week coming?
Go on.
Well, there's been talks about it, haven't they? I think Corbyn was pushing for it as well, like the whole 4-day working week or 5-day. Do you know what I mean? Like sort of.
I mean, I know Corbyn was pushing, and that's why I voted for him.
Could you see that being a thing in the future, or do you think we're just heading to a dystopian sort of?
I worked for a company that I won't name a couple of years ago, about 2017 to 2018, working as a web designer, graphic designer. And it was a pretty cool job, and they were quite a forward-thinking company. And, I think the boss was German, like the director, so he was... Yeah. German companies are quite known for being, quite on the cusp with productivity.
Militant.
Sorry?
Militant.
not militant, no, but like being on the cusp of
Yeah.
progressive thinking in the workplace. I think is one way of putting it, and
Yeah.
that was something they was talking about then. Doing a 4-day working week, and there was a lot of staff getting on board behind it. They already started when I was still there. They already started practicing it in the warehouse amongst the warehouse staff. A lot of the warehouse staff are doing 4 days a week. They'd have different days off, so no one was. There weren't ever a day when everyone was out, you know what I mean? They'll do a different day. And, stuff got done a lot better. And people were a lot more productive at work because they was happier, because they was getting to spend more time with the family. And I think one of the reasons that Corbyn was pushing it as well was the theorem that because people have got a day off, they're going to spend that day off spending money.
Yeah,
which stimulates the economy, and I think there's probably some truth behind that. I don't know.
Yeah, and also, you know what I mean. When you work it like that as well, if there's 4 people in the workplace that are taking a day off, an extra day off, there's room then to employ somebody else.
There's that as well. Yeah, it creates more jobs, and I think that the whole. I mean. The elite, the ruling elite, which in my opinion is the Tories, and I think a lot of people would agree, they've always been on the side of against workers' rights, and this is just the next step that we're having to do. People got to a point in the Industrial Revolution, and there was like, no, we don't have to do this, and something needed to change, and that's where we're at now. We're at the next sort of revival of that, where something needs to change.
I think, like I said, can you see there being a bit of a civil war?
I mean, I hope not, because there's people all over the country that I like, and I don't want to have to go to war with them. I don't want to go. No, I won't do it.
No.
But I mean, ask me a couple of months ago, I definitely wanted to go to war. When like, seeing the anti-BLM or the All Lives Matter movement, that made me angry, because it kind of just cheapened.
The fascists and racists just coming out the woodwork.
It's not even that. I've seen people who genuinely I know are not racist or that are not fascist, and it bothers me when they align themselves with people that are fascist and racist, because it's a common sense solution. That's why Farage was so sexy. It was so successful. It was
that's going to be the title of this episode of the podcast. Farage is sexy.
Other than that, I think that's why Farage is so successful around here, because there was a lot of that common sense solution sort of. It was. We'll stick a band-aid on it. It'll be all right. We'll blame the immigrants. It'll be all right. We'll get the blue passport. We'll fund the NHS. We'll do this. We'll do that. Blah, 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 blah. And as we all know, time makes fools of us all, doesn't it?
Yeah. I heard something interesting. I think it was an old Russell Howard interview with. I wish I could remember his name now, but he's the guy who has changed. He's like made loads of people leave the KKK.
Go on.
I don't know if you know about it. I'll send you some links about it. But basically, this guy, he made one of the original leaders of the KKK.
Oh, was it on Vice?
He probably would have been on Vice as well. But he does an interview with Russell Howard and on his Good News show.
Right.
There's a couple of documentaries about him as well. But he became like best friends with the leader of the KKK, and the leader ended up going, you know what, I'm out. This is wrong. And he's kept all the robes from all the members that he's had leave the KKK, and he's not had a go at them. He's just befriended them and gone, let's have a chat. I'm not going to tell you what to do and whatnot. But the interesting thing was Russell Howard asks him. This is like, I think when he did it, it was beginning of the election campaign for Trump.
Right, okay.
And he's like, he just got in. And he says, do you think Donald Trump's a good thing for America? Because obviously he's an American dude. And he says, yeah, I do. And Russell Howard's like, what? Like, are you for real? He's like, yeah. He goes, the way I see it, and he goes, particularly for like racial prejudice and just generally moving forward, he said, when you break your leg and it's a certain sort of break, sometimes the doctor has to say, right, what we've got to do is break this leg more or properly, and then we can set it back in place. And he said, Trump is that deliberate break to rebuild it.
It's the catalyst that speeds up the chaos.
Yeah, and he's like, we need someone like Trump to come along to strip us down to rock bottom, so then we all have to work together to rebuild.
I remember having a similar conversation with a guy that I know from Lincoln, and when Trump was running for office, was like, "Oh, what do we think about it?" And like, I said to him, "Oh, well, I think it would be good from a nihilistic perspective, from being able to sit back and watch the world burn."
Yeah.
Because I think that with pre-Trump, something drastic needed to change because everything was always the same. I mean, I know it's a bit different in the US than in the UK. Sorry, my rabbit's kicking off. I know it's a bit different in the US than in the UK, but I mean, in the UK, I remember, at the beginning of the decade, there was like 3 parties, all very similar, not offering a lot of difference.
Yeah,
and that was, almost as bad as having these drastic extremes that are almost bordering on civil war. So I think to answer your original question, I think that civil war could happen. I hope it doesn't. I don't want to shoot people that we're in the Midlands. We're in a dodgy place anyway. Who do we actually side with?
I don't know.
Like, what kind of civil war would it be?
I think it would just be a left versus right in some sort of something on. Well, I feel something will kick off to the fact that it gets to a point where someone's got to pick a side. Or I do think, I mean, probably civil war might not be the term for it. You'll probably know what the term is, but just a revolt against the government.
Yeah, like an uprising.
Just an absolute, like, the light bulb moment of people going, hold on a minute, they're fucking us all over and we're just fighting each other.
Yeah.
Let's fight them.
No, I think that's a very important statement that you've just made. I do.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of it, especially. I mean, you spoke about that guy who went around interviewing people from the KKK. I couldn't do that. I always start off like with the best of intentions of, let's have a nice conversation. Let's get to the root of all this. Let's sort this out. You've got a polarized opinion to me, but that doesn't matter because, we're friends. We can get through that. And then I'm just like, no, you toy cunt, fuck off. Yeah. You're nonce.
Yeah. I think I'll send you the links to that guy because he's just a proper, like, he's a big black dude, and he just goes.
I think I know what you mean. I think I've seen
just
before, but I wish I had that
chill.
sort of patience, man.
Yeah, he's proper chill, and he's just
I wish I had that patience.
Yeah. I do to a degree.
I think you do. No, I agree with that. You definitely do to a degree. I'm too bad.
The trouble is though, mate. I'm a bit of I'm a fence sitter with them sort of things.
Yeah,
not because I don't want to pick a side. It's because I want to learn.
Yeah, you want to hear the full narrative rather than just part of the narrative. You'd be like,
and just question things, but.
That's important, man. It is important to do that. I wish I had that skill and that temperament.
I'm not saying it's the best thing, mate, because I still get angry. Do you know what I mean? I still get triggered about bullshit. It doesn't matter.
Control.
Doesn't even affect me. It's you want to see me at home, mate. I mean, obviously, I agree with the 99% of the Black Lives Matter movement and all that sort of stuff. But like when they cancelled "Come Fly With Me," I had a bit of a stomp round. And then when I actually realised some of the things in it, I was like, actually, some of it is quite offensive.
Yeah.
Like,
but you didn't see it at the time. I mean, Little Britain, I never saw the appeal with Little Britain. I never watched Little Britain over that. I saw it. I thought like someone showed it to me once, and I was like, it's a bit shit. It's a bit like a pantomime on TV with loads of racist jokes in it. And it was like, it's good. It can be all right for the lols, but it wasn't anything. I mean, it was no South Park. South Park's got thousands of racist jokes in it, but it's not what I would consider offensive. I know people of all races and creeds that love South Park, but Little Britain, I don't know, I think that it was maybe problematic. Come Fly With Me as well to a degree, but it was accepted back in the day. It wasn't being called out. Now that people have this internet that they can, I can rant on a video for 5 minutes and have it uploaded in 5 minutes and 1 second.
Yeah.
And it's out there, and anyone can listen to it.
Do you think that's killing the art industry? Well, particularly comedy.
I think that it's probably changed comedy. I think that it's might have evolved comedy. I think that Britain's always had a special relationship with questionable racist comedy. You know, you see all like the old TV shows from the 70s. Was it Love My Neighbour, Hello Hello, all that sort of, you know, camp 70s British comedy that you know all the older generation love. And you know, I remember watching Only Fools and Horses and things like that. And but I never, it weren't ever my thing. Like I say, I grew up in. I know I was a teenager in the early 2000s, like left school, primary school in the late 90s. So, you know, I grew up with South Park and things like that. And I think that that's probably an important thing that I've just said. Like, people will always have these attachments to things that are of their generation. Yeah. So now, when, you know, things that were okay in the 70s, and it's like, you know, values that maybe my dad or your dad carry, that were, you know, acceptable and that always are going to be acceptable. Yeah. We're gonna react that end in like 20 years when South Park is getting cancelled because it's offensive, and it's like, well, it was never not supposed to be offensive.
Well, this is one thing.
Fucking Team America.
Yeah, but it's like this is one thing that I've spoken to my missus quite a bit about, especially being a creator, and I'm like, why? And I hate this whole cancel culture stuff. As much as I may agree on certain levels with some cancellations or restrictions or anything like that, I agree, but I do not think. I think it's a slippery slope for preventing art.
It is. I think South Park. I keep referencing South Park. It's obviously on my head. I think after this interview, I need to watch South Park or something. But I think South Park made a really good point with the manatees and the writing of the Muhammad cartoon episode. Do you remember that one?
I've not. I don't. Not off the top of my head. No.
Well, I think the story of it is basically they've gone to the Family Guy writing studios, and they're trying to see like how the stories are made, and it's a bunch of manatees fucking passing balls about in a pool, and they just put random balls together, and it's like Peter Griffin. It's like, oh yeah, this is worse than that time I bought shoes from Walmart or something. It's just like a random thing that's made by manatees. And the point of it is basically the manatees made this joke about Muhammad, and obviously it was based on the Charlie Hebdo situation that happened, and it was like, okay, well, we've made this joke about Muhammad, and it can cause a load of problems, but either everything's okay to joke about or nothing's okay to joke about. And that's very important. You know, censorship's okay as long as it's not invading art. As far as I can, you know, you can censor Nazis, you know, censor the real life Nazis, censor the fucking Tories, you know, censor those cunts. But don't be censoring me for saying a joke for something. It's a joke. It's there to, you know, engage with people. It's there to, you know, make people feel better. You know, I mean, jokes are going to offend some people, but then you've got to have the conversation. I'm sorry, I didn't really quite like that joke.
Yeah. Oh. Because for me,
I won't say it around you. Done.
Yeah. I know it sounds a bit like a gammon or whatever, but like, but how far is this going to go? That's my worry, because it's all right, you know, the racial stuff, the sort of like religious stuff, anything like that. But how far is it going to go before it's not acceptable to say, like, you know, have a joke about just the stereotypes of, you know, a Scouser robbing your car wheels?
Well, there's that thing with chav, isn't there? Chav's a slur.
Well, council house and violent, isn't it?
Council house and violent.
Yeah.
It's a class warfare slur from the bullying lizard people.
Yeah. But yeah, I just worry about how far this is going to go before you can't have art. Like, I know this is extremes, and my missus hates when I say it. I'm like, just playing devil's advocate here. Yeah. Because she very much backs the cancel culture. She's very like, well, it is unacceptable. It should be cancelled. It shouldn't be shown. And I'm like, no, it needs a disclaimer if it's going to be on a streaming site or something, just saying that some of this might be offensive, or that's how I feel it should be.
I think that's how South Park get away with it. They have that little fucking flashing message on the beginning, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, and it's loud and clear. This show is full of offensive material. There's no celebrities that are actually associated with the show because we say outrageous bullshit.
Yeah.
You know?
But that's how it should be. And then you can, if you are offended, turn it off.
Yeah.
Like no one is forcing you to watch or consume anything yet.
Yeah.
Until the government have their way. But
that's it. So I weren't sad to see Little Britain go. It went on.
I mean, I haven't watched it in years. I've watched Come Fly With Me a bit more recent because it came on Netflix.
I'm not allowed it.
No, just because it came on Netflix, and I was like, oh, that was good. I rewatched it, and I was like, some of these are fucking hilarious. Do you know what I mean? And then some of them I was like, oh, that's not aged very well because I've matured and I can understand it. But I wasn't like, well, it needs to be gone. Just put a disclaimer, and if people want to watch it, watch it. Do you know what I mean? Because, they're going after Faulty Towers now. They're going after even Rick and Morty, which is a new thing.
Yeah.
They're trying to,
jokes are jokes.
I say they, it's the collective they, innit? But
jokes are jokes and art's art. And, for me, if it's meant to enlighten people's lives and it's meant to, something that you could go to, you go to a comedy show, you go to a music festival, you go to things, as long as it's not actually being hateful and it's not actually, encouraging violence, as long as it's poetic or metaphoric or, creative in some way, then you don't, even if it's just for a laugh,
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you say about like stand-up comedy shows and stuff. It's like for a fact, the likes like Jimmy Carr. He's very sort of brash, and even Frankie Boyle. I mean, I've been a bit like to a couple of his jokes, but like
he's supposed to be like that though.
Yeah, but he's not. And you see these interviews with him. You see the things he records and stuff. He's not a nasty person. He's just got a very dark sense of humour.
Like when you look at Frankie Boyle's political alliance, he's very progressive thinking. From what I've seen, anyway, that's my interpretation of what he said. He seems to be very, very critical of what we've got, and he seems to be very vocal about. Again, probably maybe common sense solutions, but maybe on the other side of what Farage is saying.
Yeah.
But either way, he's a comedian. He's not a politician. He's not. He's not putting these things into law. He's not trying to. He's there on stage, just having a pint and a laugh.
Yeah.
Frankie Boyle, he's he said some outrageous things, but
But it's not said with conviction, is it? Half the time.
No, he's not saying.
It is just I'm going dark, and it's a fucking. I know some people will laugh at this. Do you know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure it's made jokes about noncing. It doesn't make the guy a nonce, does it?
No, but then you do have comedians on the other end of the spectrum, like is it Roy Chubby Brown? That he's an out and out racist, I believe.
Jim Davison.
Yeah, Jim Davison, and people like that. They need to be held accountable for their convictions and the stuff they say off their show. And when they, if they're promoting that, they need to be held accountable the same way the general public do. But if you're having a joke and it's just, like again, I go back to like Jimmy Carr. He says, "Look, I will." At the end of most of his shows, he goes, "Right, I'm going to escalate this until everybody is offended and you can all go away disappointed." I don't want anybody to feel left out. And that's it.
Well, what can you say with that? He solved it, hasn't
So he just goes boom, 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 boom until he doesn't get a laugh, and he's like, right, fuck off home then.
Yeah. I'll start with the Jews. I'll end on the cancer patients.
Yeah.
Everyone, no man left behind.
That's it. I'm very much at that. Like, I think you've got to have humility about yourself, haven't you? And I think a lot of people feel they're targeted through a lot of this stuff when they're not. If you feel you fall into that stereotype, you're boring, in my opinion.
I think that's the thing. That's my problem with the All Lives Matter movement. The fact that obviously the Black Lives Matter movement happened for a reason, and it was a reaction to a problem.
Yeah.
And All Lives Matter movement happened to a reaction to something that was trying to solve a problem.
Yeah.
It was more like, I feel left out. I feel like my life doesn't matter because my life's not black.
Yeah.
So are you saying my life? No, I'm not going to go over the whole narrative of it, but I think that's kind of what you were saying.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. And it's like, well, just with that, the All Lives Matter thing, it's very. What baffled me, again, this is my sort of like being an observer, is why were people so bogged down with the words of it? A black guy got killed by the police. Be angry about it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. People are always going to make arguments, though. I mean, I was speaking to someone the other night about the George Floyd thing who was someone that I was quite, quite under the impression they were quite progressive, quite. They're basically a hippie, man.
Yeah.
You don't get much more, lateral progressive than that. But no, he was like, I was saying about George Floyd and that. He was like, oh yeah, George Floyd was a fucking criminal, man. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's like, he was, regardless of what he's done in the past, he still was murdered in cold blood in front of millions and millions of people all over the world. And, how can you not be outraged by this?
And also, I'll be interested to know any of the crimes that this person who said that has committed.
Well, again, it's that whole thing of people can choose the news that they want to read these days, can't they?
Because don't get me wrong, he was a bit of trouble. He was a bit of a gangster. Been in and out of prison. Probably wasn't going to change his. Probably wasn't going to change his ways. Could have been in and out of prison for years to come. But that doesn't give anybody the right to kill a man.
Nah, that's it. That's it. With the police as well. The police's job should be to protect, not to incite fear and segregation. And I think there's definitely got an agenda behind it. Personally, like you say about Matey Boy, he said America needs to get to that bone that fucking breaks and breaks again until it's to a point where it can heal better.
Yeah.
I think that there's definitely an agenda, and it's definitely being used by the police in one way or another, whether they are all KKK members that have these hoods and meetings or whatever, or whether they are just following orders, or whether whatever's happening, it's not entirely by accident, in my opinion. There's definitely some, I don't know. Without being the conspiracy theory that says there's an invisible hand that's controlling everything, I definitely think there's controlling powers that work both business, finance, politics, all these things in a direction to suit a purpose. And whatever that purpose is, I'm too much of a pauper to know.
I don't think we'll ever know that sort of thing. I'm in your gang. I don't think it's necessarily like super Illuminati or anything like that, but I definitely think there's a bigger organisation of some form, whether that's Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or whoever.
And maybe even bigger.
Yeah.
Maybe we're only given like 5% of the full picture.
Yeah. I think the one thing that proves that for me is the fact that Dominic Cummings hasn't been sacked.
I don't want to speak about Dominic, please. I've got to a point where I'm just like, it's just entertainment for me now. Like I said, I've avoided the news. I've tried to avoid politics, and it's like nothing that happens surprises me anymore. It's like everything that happens that's Tories is just so typically Tory. It's like you can't write it anymore.
Yeah,
it's become a pantomime of itself.
Yeah,
austerity has become a pantomime of itself.
Yeah, it's fucking unreal, isn't it? Like what was I going to say? Oh, I've lost my train of thought there.
Fucking six persons.
6 person in a house. Yeah, that's come out now today, or as of Monday.
Well, we have 7 people in ours, so what the fuck am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go camp out in the garden now?
Apparently, households and support bubbles are unaffected, but it would mean you can't meet anybody.
So we can't have anyone around our house because we've already got 7 in there?
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
It is, but if you want, we can all go down the pub.
Well, that's fine. We'll go to someone else's gem-infested building.
I saw a very interesting...
We'll go to the house that has piss stains up the wall.
Yeah. Well, I saw a meme, and it said, basically, do not meet... Social gatherings are not to be held anywhere where there isn't a till.
Yeah, anywhere that can't be taxed.
Yeah. It's quite... And another person I see had put... that basically what they're doing is privatising socialising.
Okay, so what? I can open up my house as ye old my house now, and it's a pub. Yeah, and we don't serve any beer, but we provide good social services.
Yeah, and
but we're a pub.
Yeah, but that's literally what they're doing, because anywhere where you pay to be, you're not restricted. But in your own garden or house,
well, fuck it, let's always do it. So we need to play them like their own game, don't we?
Yeah, well, let's all meet at Thingy Castle.
Yeah, and we'll do it tax-free as well. We'll set up as a charity.
Yeah.
So we're tax-free. Fuck them.
Yeah. We'll have to hold an AGM.
We'll start our own currency.
Yeah, that's it. do you think?
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
on my uni course, I learned a load about Bitcoin, and I'm really interested in that.
That's one thing we've I've literally just been trying to get into in a minute.
Well, talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Do you know about the blockchain?
no, I don't know a lot about it. I know I've earned about 11 pence worth over the last 24 hours.
Oh, you've been mining?
So basically, there's a new video platform. Well, it's like a file platform called Library, which is LBRY, and it's very much like YouTube.
Right, yeah.
It's kind of infancy, but instead of it being so policed like YouTube is, it's very much open platform. Do and say what you like. So I think it's got a worry of like potential dark web shit getting in there, but it's all promoted with cryptocurrency. So
it's a bit like 4chan then.
I'm not too familiar with 4chan. I've heard of it, but I'm not really familiar. But basically, you can.
It's like old school.
Yeah, you can. Anything you post on YouTube, you can sync up, so it automatically go on Library, and then every view, every sort of follower you get, and all this, that, and the other. There's loads of stuff you can do.
So is it like a social media platform with
it's all like
and views and things
it's
like
all
that?
like built in. So like the more views you get, the more cryptocurrency you get. Rather than like with YouTube, I think it's 1,000 subscribers and a load of like watch hours, and then it has to pass all their community guidelines before you can monetize it.
Yeah, and if you don't, they'll fucking screw you for it. Sorry, can we swear on this podcast?
Yeah, of course we can, mate.
Is that
Yeah.
Sick. I like swearing.
Yeah. This is just for conversations and all that. I don't know when these are coming out. I think you're my 5th interview, but you might end up being like one of the first episodes because I'm just going to bulk.
Lucky number 5.
Yeah.
Membo.
Yeah, boy. Well, yeah. What? So yeah, that library. So So what have you been learning? What are you wanting to do with the Bitcoin then?
Well, no, like that. We're learning about encryption and cyber currencies and that. And one thing that I found quite interesting about Bitcoin is this thing called the blockchain. And the blockchain is it's like an online record of every Bitcoin transaction that's ever been made.
Right.
So there's no IDs linked to it. You can't cipher anyone's details from it or anything like that. But it's just like a series of figures where it shows every single transaction that's happened over like the Silk Road or things like that. So, back in 2016, if you paid, 120 Canadian dollars for an ounce of a chod of skag or whatever, then that would have been that's on there somewhere.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say what it's for. It doesn't say who it is. But it's like somewhere it'll be like 119 Canadian dollars on there, or Bitcoin equivalent.
Yeah, it's mad.
But yeah, it's like an ongoing sort of digital receipt that's everything that's ever gone on. But
yeah, because it's used a lot in the dark web, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, the dark web's very interesting. It's like people hear the dark web and they're like, oh, it's this.
Yeah.
There's this pantomime villain that's
the Riddler.
This dark web.
Yeah.
But no, the dark web's a very fascinating tool. It's something. For those who don't know, it's you can access the dark web through a app called Tor, which is generally much like a browser, but it's completely anonymous, and that's how you can make transactions. But it's more than that. It was created by the U.S. Navy because they wanted an encrypted way to communicate. But the way Tor works is the only way it works soundly is that as many people as possible use it.
Yeah, so you cannot track any fucker.
Yeah. So hypothetically, if we all sacked off our Firefox, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Safari, whatever, and started using this Tor, then we would achieve complete anonymity on the web, and like.
Do you reckon that's a good thing, though?
Yes and no. Do you reckon Trump's a good thing? It's the exact same chaos as Trump.
Yeah.
It is chaos. That's what it is. But it's got the ability to be chaos. But it's that whole thing of, okay, well, do you want freedom or do you want this umbrella of security that you're told that you've
You
got.
need to be free to do as we tell you.
Yeah, exactly. The old Bill Hicks quote, man.
Yeah.
Fucking love Hicks. What a bro.
Um,
I think it could be a good thing, but it can also be misused, just like any technology.
Yeah.
It can be used as a weapon.
Yeah.
AI. What a fascinating concept for something that can be used as a weapon or an amazing tool.
It's fucking scary, isn't it? Like I miss the days where I just had a Nokia 3210 and I had Snake.
Yeah.
Don't you? Like it just,
Mate.
and even if there was bigger powers that be and there was aliens and all that shit, I didn't know about it, nor did I care. Now,
And even then,
your own fucking phone's trying to kill you. Yeah.
Even then, you was only allowed 60 characters, so good luck deciphering that when you've got tenner's worth of credit and it's 10p worth of message.
Yeah. It's fucking like it's such simpler times, man. And that's like you got to think that's like 15 years ago. 15, that's it.
Yeah, half of our lifetime.
Yeah, and the way technology's gone, it's just fucking. I mean, it's incredible and it's amazing, but it scares the shit out of me when I think about it too much.
I was like to say of how interested in like technology and the web and computers and shit I am now. I'm studying this shit. I used to be quite not a technophobe, but like I was wary of stuff. As soon as smartphones were a thing where you had a camera in it, I was instantly wary of that. I was like, this there's something not right about this.
Yeah.
But I think over time I've become more accepting of it. Like I wouldn't have a smartphone for ages. I think people might have thought I was a terrorist or something because, I used to have a shitty old phone because
anyone who knows you is because you're a liability and a hipster.
Yeah, but one, it was cheap as fuck, and I used to lose them all the time.
Yeah,
I couldn't have nice things.
Yeah,
but no, it was part of it as well was I don't know, I've become more accepted over time, definitely, because of the interest of if this thing's going to become inevitable anyway, I will understand it. I think. Yeah, I think that was a big sort of.
You can't get left behind now, can you? Like, I mean, my nearly 4-year-old she can do stuff on my phone that I didn't know was a thing.
Mate, Ollie can unlock Lala's iPad, no problems. Yeah. He can't even write his own name yet, but he knows where those keys are.
Tappy. They fucking soak it up, and it's incredible. But I was always very much against, I don't want my little one to have a tablet or anything like that. I want organic education, so to speak, and all that sort of stuff.
To start with, I was like that. But as I don't know, since I've becoming a parent, I'm like, I know, especially for how interested I am in computers, and that I was, I don't know, not always glued to a console. I mean, in our day, we had SNES, NES. Sega, Mega Drive, whatever. We had that, and you weren't always connected to something. You weren't all, we still played. We was the last generation that still played out, I think.
Yeah.
Growing up in the 90s, last generation that played out.
Yeah.
What do kids do now? I know my kids, they all come home, they do the homework.
Yeah.
Because they get shitloads of homework these days.
Yeah.
And then after they've done the homework, they're allowed to go on the tablets or consoles and that. But then, even when they're at school, they've always connected to a phone. They've got... Yeah. You're wired.
I mean, I never even see the point of taking my phone to school because I was like, anyone who I want to speak to is here.
Yeah, and it's just going to get confiscated by the teacher the second you're using it.
Just so, it's mad, isn't it? Anyway, before we get too involved in that, because we've been a little bit of time on this conversation. I've been trying. Every one of them I've been trying to keep to an hour, and they've all been like an hour and a half. Let's talk about our project that's
I've been waiting for this, so I was hoping we was going to talk about this.
Odd foxes, man.
Right, well, do you want to start us off and give everyone a brief sort of
No, you go for it. I'm interested to hear it from you.
You want to hear it from my side?
Yeah, man.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, me and Chunky T, we started a project last year with our good friend Alex Baggett on drums, musical project called The Odd Foxes, or Odd Foxes. I don't even know how he got started. He got started as a bunch of dudes that used to be in separate bands. It was like, we miss being in bands. Let's try and recreate this. And it kind of, I think it was maybe born out of a very similar sort of energy as the East Coast Punk Collective, but from a different level.
Yeah.
And a bunch of dudes that used to gig together in different bands. And now we've got our EP out, Fox 'Em All.
Yeah, man.
2020.
Yeah.
What can I say about that? I don't know. I'm going to be biased, but yeah, such an amazing project to be a part of. Anyone that has not checked it out, please check us out. I think we're only on YouTube at the minute. Is that right?
We're being like super quirky and just being like, it's actually on my channel by accident, and that is genuinely by accident. I thought because I logged into mine, and I thought I created it as a sub channel, and I just created it as a playlist. So it's there now, and then we can look at migrating stuff later. But
we've been really sort of lazy with the social media thing. I think we've approached it differently to what most bands approach it these days, haven't we? We've been quite laid back.
But that's what we.
As far as like writing the songs and recording them, I think we all, you guys especially, because that's another story to talk about, the actual recording of it, which happened during lockdown when we couldn't get together.
Yeah.
But again, those of you who don't know, please check us out. Odd Foxes, leave us a comment, leave us your feedback, subscribe, share. I know one or two of people that I've already shared it to have given us some quite nice feedback.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, it's nice to be part of a musical project again after all these years.
Hopefully we'll be jamming again soon and see about a couple of gigs or something like that. But that was the thing, like you said, it's just it was weird that it's come so naturally for me that we were just like, let's have a jam, see how it goes. No pressure on sort of like, we want to be here, we want to do this, we want to do that and that. It's just like, let's just get together, see what works, see if we can write some songs. No pressure.
It started off as just a bunch of, the first patch was just practicing covers, didn't we? We had a Rancid song in there, Distiller's song, just some random picks that we all liked.
Yeah.
And, that I think that was important as well. Just being able to, I think we was all maybe a bit rusty.
Definitely,
after not being involved in the project.
Yeah.
But just being able to sort of pick up on each other's vibe and get on each other's level as a band, definitely an important step for anyone that wants to start a band out there.
Yeah, I think
just have fun.
I think you do need to just not try and force things. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned over the years of like, if it ain't working, it ain't working. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you can always adapt your approach, whatever it is that is. Okay, we're not a really good metal band. Let's form a ska band or something.
Yeah.
You've got, but whatever's, as long as you're having fun, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're putting out there. If you're having fun, make music for yourself.
Yeah.
If you make music for yourself that you enjoy, then likelihood is people that are going to be on the same level, you're going to enjoy it as well.
Yeah. One thing I got told very early on, and I think I've mentioned it a few times on this podcast, is create what you would consume.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you'll make good quality products, so to speak. Because even if you only have a couple of fans, if you're a band, or a couple of customers, if you're making art or whatever like that, but there's so much more fulfillment of creating them pieces and passing them pieces on, then
it's always got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
As long as you're having fun, as long as you keep at it and just kind of don't stop putting. Well, nowadays you've got to put content out there, haven't you? Rather than just going gigging, you've got to put content. And as long as you keep putting content out there, people, no matter how many, are going to pay attention.
Yeah.
In one way or another.
Yeah.
And with Odd Foxes, I think that it was quite an interesting story because, I mean, we started in 2019.
Yeah. About this time last year,
2019. I think. No, I don't think we started then. I think we started a lot earlier because I'd already left my old job by then that I was working in Hull Beach and used to have to drive down. Yeah. We started, I think, around maybe May, June.
Has it really been that long?
Ish. Yeah, I reckon so.
Yeah, man.
And we had these amazing 3-4 months where we practiced solidly, weekly.
Yeah.
In this nice little studios out in the sticks. Good vibes. Good recording team there, and we all kind of obviously our drummer Baggy had his sonny son.
Yeah.
Which was God bless him. What an amazing guy. But so yeah, he got busy with that. We kind of was focused on other projects as well.
Yeah.
Baggy was also involved with those projects alongside
Yeah.
getting ready to get his
Yeah.
wife into labour.
Yeah.
Mate, what a lad, you
Yeah.
know. What a lad.
He's got some drive. He has definitely got some
so
drive.
I think if we can squeeze it in, that's another thing that we need to talk about as well. The other project that happened
Yeah.
on the back of the Odd Foxes practice, but before the EP came out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we had this gap where other stuff happened, which we'll get to in a bit. And then so we was in the middle of lockdown, and Chunky T messaged me being like, "Okay, we're going to record these tracks," which he did an amazing job on.
Oh, thank you very much.
And Baggy's recorded on there, and
yeah.
But you know, unfortunately, because of lockdown and my lack of finesse equipment and talent, I wasn't actually being able to record it on the album, which sucks. But I'll get to be on the next one, and we're going to be gigging soon. And you know, I mean, I was there for the practice. I tried the songs.
Yeah, the joy. The thing is with this is I've said to a lot of people, like, these are basically demos. They're glorified demos because I think we've spoken about it before as well. Like, the general idea is that the 4 tracks on that EP will be reshaped to an extent and fully re-recorded, full production,
absolutely,
for the album. I definitely want to, even if we don't gig, I definitely want to get an album out of it. I think a good 10,
I think
12
it's
tracks.
as much as a tool to sort of record and reference ourselves as much as it was to be able to push something out into the digital world or into the scene or whatever. It may be more so for our own benefit than anyone else's.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Well, I mean, I think to be fair, we weren't even going to really release it, were we? We were just going to. It was just going to be right. Get them down so we can practice them at home a bit and sort of work on them a bit.
Yeah, no, but I'm definitely definitely glad we've put them out there.
Yeah.
Because I mean the production skills on it alone is very, very impressive from my perspective. There's a lot of raw energy in there that wasn't lost through the production process. And there's a lot of I don't know, for not a better word, like there's a lot of beefiness to those tracks. There's a lot of energy, there's a lot of punch to them. That when I first heard it, even made me go wow, and it was like, well, I wrote a third of this song.
Yeah, man. They're all ones that it's either we jammed a bit and we sort of created a bit, because some of them we had lyrics for, some of them we didn't.
You forced me to write lyrics on the spot.
Yeah. You wrote Endless, didn't you?
I wrote Endless, which Endless was the first song that I wrote in probably 15, 16, maybe 14 years.
Mate, Endless, which is actually going to be the theme tune for this podcast, I think. So people would have heard it, just like the instrumental part of it. But
nice.
But that it's a banger, mate. That's why it's going to be on this podcast. To be fair, but
that was organic as fuck.
Yeah,
man. That was literally you put me on the side, being like, "Oh, write a song then."
Yeah.
Crack on. Yeah. And I was like, "What the fuck?" And he was like, "It's pen, crack on."
Yeah.
Do it. And that was chucking me right out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, but it worked.
I didn't like it
work
at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. It really didn't sit well with me. I was like, I struggled.
Yeah,
and it's I'm just so impressed with how everything's turned out. As a member of the band and as a listener as well. And I've pushed it out to a handful of people. I've shared it in groups of punk rock interest or the skate punk scene and stuff like that, and it's had pretty good feedback from people that I've not spoke to in years and years as well. For being able to be like, oh wow, this is this you got what you guys have, you got any more stuff like that, man. And it's people are interested in it, but I think that's maybe we might have been part of an interesting time even before COVID, because there's a lot of good British punk bands that have kind of came out of the woodwork at the minute. I say British loosely, obviously Irish punk bands as well, like Fontaine's DC.
Idols are making some fucking waves at the minute, man.
Idols, Slaves.
Yeah. I think punk's coming back. I really do. I mean, that's not why I've got back into a punk band, but I think it's why I've got inspired to be back in a punk band.
I don't think.
You know what I mean?
I don't think it's why I've been inspired, and I think you're the same. I think no, I disagree with your comment. I think you've always, had that flair for punk and had that, passion for punk rock music and that sort of scene and ethos in general. But I think that now has been a time where we've had the sort of the pop punk era, we've had the emo era, the post-hardcore era, the indie era sort of thing, and it was all just, music industry, tracks.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Music for music's sake. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that now, like, punk has come back in a way where it's not like it was in the 70s, where it was, this new, exciting, outrageous thing. It's not like it was when it was in the 80s, when it was this cool thing when everyone had Mohicans.
Yeah.
And it's not like it was in the 90s where it was, maybe, involved with the, skater scene and that.
Dickie shorts and then the long sleeve and a short sleeve top.
Classic rock, man. Classic rock. Flame shirt.
Yeah, man.
Shirt. Yeah, man. No, it's come back in a way that I think where it belongs, which is straight up, underground. It's not being pushed out there as a product at the minute, and that's nice. That is not, the people who are listening to it are the people that want to listen to it, not because it's cool.
I think as well, because of the way that a lot of platforms have changed, like Radio 1, I find, although it is obviously commercial, it's not as commercial. There's a lot more. They've
got the punk show on there.
Yeah, there's a lot more shows on there that are genre specific. They're understanding that. Do you know what I mean?
I heard Idols, the first time I heard Idols, and it made me go, wow. I heard that on the Radio 1 podcast, and they played tracks back to back on there. So they play it once, and you'll just be cruising in your car.
Yeah.
And then it's like, they'll do a little interview with Matey Boy from Idol, and it's like, you know what, that track's so good, we're going to play it again. And then you get to, and it's like, it's so cool to hear new music again. And it's nice to be able to catch the name of the artist and have a bit of a chat with them.
Yeah.
Before it goes on to the next track.
Yeah.
Like, our local radio, I'm not going to mention the local radio station that everyone knows about, but yeah, it's hell.
Yeah.
It is awful. And it's the one that every workplace has on, and it's just, they've got a playlist of maybe 30 songs at a time.
And rap's banned as well, I've noticed.
Pardon?
Rap is banned on
rap music.
Yeah.
Like hip-hop.
But not just that. If you ever get caught listening to it again, have a notice that, like some of the pop songs, even like chart pop songs that have got like a rap bridge where, like, Sean Paul or
like hip hop breakdowns.
Yeah, so, it'd be some singer, and then it's got a little breakdown of Stormzy or something like that in the bridge. That'll be removed. One that I noticed the most of was She Said by Plan B.
Yeah.
The rap parts in that are all missing on that radio show. So
saying that, I think I've noticed that a while back about was it the Ordinary Boys? Boys Will Be Boys.
Yeah,
because it's got
Lady Sovereign.
The vocalist.
Is that got Lady Sovereign on it? Is that one?
Right. No, not Lady Sovereign. Boys Will Be Boys. It's got a little rap verse, like little rude boy fucking track in there, and it's sick. And I always look forward to that part of the song, and I didn't get to hear it because of fucking this radio station that shall not be named, because I don't want to give them the fucking publicity.
I call them Stinks FM.
Stinks FM. Yeah. That's what they should be known as. Stinks FM. Based in Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
Stinks FM. They cut out this rap track, and the guy is Rankin Roger Jr. Do you know who that is?
The name rings a bell.
It's the son of Rankin Roger from The Beat.
Oh right, yeah. I know The Beat, yeah.
And it's like I look forward to that little bit of ska, original rude boy tones. Every time I hear that track, that's the best part of the song.
Yeah.
And they cut it out because we're in rural Lincolnshire with Stinks
because
FM.
The farmers will be angry.
We don't enrage the tractors, they'll fucking mow us down.
Yeah. Another one that they have as well is on Nickelback's Rockstar. they.
Go on.
I mean, I'm not a big Nickelback fan myself anyway, nor that song. But
Please carry on.
they censor the word dealer and not drug, and I can't understand the logic.
I think I noticed that with Wheatus as well.
Yeah.
Teenage Dirtbag. They don't censor dick, but they censor gun.
Yeah. Just it's fucking unreal.
This is my rifle. This is my gun.
Yeah. But yeah, so Odd Foxes then. Onwards and upwards with that sort of shit then.
Sorry?
Onwards and upwards with that sort of shit then, you reckon?
Hopefully, and like the sooner we can we get to more regular band patches, the better, because we've probably been over a year out now.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a year since we've probably had a last practice.
I just want to play it live a couple of times. I'm not bothered about a big tour or anything like that, but like, because we're a bit of a dad punk band, aren't we? Like, we're proper like at that sort of, we're 5 more years and we're cringy. Do you know what I mean?
Aging anarchists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go start a riot, but I'm gonna have a quick nap. I'm gonna have a quick nap first.
Shit, I've lost one. I'm 31
Yeah.
now. Fuck. Well, I still have a quick nap before I fucking have to riot. That's the best
How else do you get the energy?
That's it. I can't do gear anymore. So.
All right, well, I think we'll wrap that up there, mate. But
Do we have to? I've got one more thing I want to talk about first.
Right, go on then, make it quick.
There was a break between Odd Foxes practicing and Odd Foxes releasing their album.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
I'll tell you what, I'll get you on for that. I'll get you on again for that.
Okay. Another story for another time.
Yeah, how's that sound?
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming on, mate. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's all right, mate. Always a pleasure talking to you, my mate.
I hope I've been coherent enough. I've sank a few drinks since we've been talking, so
Yeah, but it's good
I
for you.
prepared. When you said set up, I was like, yeah, boom, done.
Yeah, man. Okay then, mate.
Right.
Yeah, but it's been nice chatting, and I shall see you soon.
Take it easy, brother.
Cheers, buddy.
Safe.
Yeah, so there we have it. That was our little chat that we had one evening a few weeks ago now. I really enjoyed this chat with Johnny. It's always a pleasure to talk to him and just chew the fat about all sorts of shit, really. Anything that comes to mind. I hope you enjoyed it. As usual, let me know in the comments what you think. Give us a shout on anyone you want me to sort of interview or have a chat with. Yeah, as always, like, share, subscribe, follow me on the socials, follow everything we talked about. There'll be links everywhere. Yeah. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I shall hopefully see you next week.